Hello to all the people on YouTube. My name is CJ. I am a very popular member in the Duelist Alliance, and my favorite deck to play is Fluffle. And that's because it is just a very funny combo deck that sets up a lot of interruptions and plays through uh, a few hand traps. Starting off with the main deck, I play 3 Fluffle Penguin, and Fluffle Penguin is just the best card in this deck. Uh, if it's on field, it is a free special summon from hand, soft once per turn, meaning if you reborn it with a cross sheep, you can use it again. And if it's sent to the graveyard for the fusion summon of a Frightfur fusion, you can then draw 2 cards and discard 1, and that has very good synergy with Toy Vendor and other cards you are playing in this deck. On to the 3 copies of Fluffle Dog. Fluffle Dog is very important, as on normal or special from hand, you get to search for any Fluffle, and this can basically act as an additional copy of Toy Vendor, a way to search Penguin, or if you're using it with another package that we're using in this deck, it is a very good way to extend. Fluffle Bear, which can be one of the searches off Dog. The most relevant effect is that it can discard itself from hand, and if it does that, it gets to set a Toy Vendor from deck. That is really good to play around Ash or to play around other cards that may be stopping you. And if this gets gammaed, it's not super important. It's more important that the Toy Vendor is in grave. On to the one of Fluffle names. We have 1 copy of Dolphin, 1 copy of Wings, 1 copy of Sheep, and 1 copy of Octo. Dolphin combos perfectly with Penguin, as they are both level 4 and water. Dolphin says you can target a Toy Vendor in your grave, set it to your field, then send a Fluffle from your deck to the grave. And most of the time, that Fluffle you send will be Wings, because Wings says if this card is in your graveyard and Toy Vendor is on your field, then you can banish it, target another Fluffle in your grave, banish that card, draw 1 card, then you can choose to send your Toy Vendor from your field to the grave and draw another card. Which means that you get to trigger a Toy Vendor in grave, search for a Fluffle. So it's basically a +3. Fluffle Sheep is a really good search off of Dog, and it says you can special summon this card if you control a Fluffle, and then once per turn you can bounce a Fluffle from your field to your hand for cause, summon an edge-imp from your hand or grave. And that's really good for extending or for getting a chain out of your hand. And Fluffle Octo, it's your best way to recur an edge-imp scythe in your grave, as it says if this card is normal or special summoned, you can target 1 Fluffle or edge-imp in your grave, add it back to your hand. Meaning that if you already have that edge-imp scythe in your hand, because you use something else to fuse, then you can add it back. You can add a different name back so that you have follow-up for next turn. Now on to the edge-imps. We're playing 3 Chain, the Despair card, of course. We are playing 1 Sabers, 1 Scythe, playing triple Patchwork, and double Poly. And then for the other Frightfur cards, we are playing 1 Repair and 1 Fusion. 3 Chain is really important. You may know it from Despia. It says if this card is sent from your hand or field to the grave, you can search your deck for a Frightfur card. So most of the time you'll be searching Frightfur Fusion with it, or you'll go Frightfur Fusion to search it. But if you only open Frightfur Fusion in hand, nothing else, the better play to make is actually to search edge-imp Scythe and Poly. And the reason that is because edge-imp Scythe says quick effect during your opponent's main phase. You can fusion summon a Frightfur Fusion using a monster from your hand or field as material. And that works very well with Crew Whale and the fact that you can pop 1 card on both players' fields. So it's basically a hand trap. And then edge-imp Sabers, if it's in your grave, you can stack a card from your hand to the top of your deck, special itself out in defense. It's very important for extending, and it can also be searched off of any of the Fluffle searchers. Frightfur Repair is usually going to be in the grave, because will get sent there with Crew Whale. It says you can banish this card from your grave to special summon out a Fluffle from hand, a Fluffle or an edge-imp. It's really important for extending. Frightfur Fusion is what you search if you go patchwork into chain to search another Frightfur. As with your draws, sometimes you'll find both poly. So the better search is Frightfur Fusion because it does a Miracle Fusion for the archetype, and then you get to use that in order to force interruption by your opponent on like turn 3. Now, before we go into the cards that I'm using to trigger Toy Vendor as much as possible, I'm just going to talk about Toy Vendor. Toy Vendor is crazy. Is a soft once per turn. You can discard 1 card from your hand for cost, draw a card, reveal it if it's a Fluffle, special any other monster from your hand, including the one you drew. But if it isn't, it gets immediately discarded. That's even fine with some cards if you find them off the top, like Chain, and then you just get a free Frightfur search. If it's sent to the grave, you get to search for any Fluffle or an edge-imp sabers, and that's really important because it's not once per turn. So you can trigger it as many times as you want in a turn as you can. So to enable Toy Vendor as much as possible, I'm playing 2 Eldritch. Eldritch is crazy with it because if you find it or if you discard it with Toy Vendor, then you can go Eldritch, send the Toy Vendor for cost, get it off your field, and get a body on the board for your opponent to deal with. And then they, if they negate this, then they won't really negate this. So you just get the Toy Vendor search for free then. And then going second, if you find both of these, then you can just go Eldritch, send itself and Toy Vendor, target a card on your opponent's field. They have to respond with that, and then you get to trigger Toy Vendor's effect. And then the second way that we are getting extra Toy Vendor triggers is with an Illusion of Chaos package. We are playing 2 Illusion, 1 Souls, and 2 Prep. And the reason we are doing this is because Illusion is crazy with Toy Vendor. And the reason that is because it specifically says that you put the extra card back on top of your deck. So if you go Illusion of Chaos, search Magician Souls, and then you stack a Fluffle in your hand that you searched, and then if you have a Toy Vendor on field or in hand, you can go Toy Vendor effect, pitch Illusion, and then your draw is guaranteed to be what you stacked, meaning that you can then get a free special of a dog or a penguin or an octo or whatever you need. And then on top of that, not only do you get the search for dog, but then you go Souls and the other Illusion, special itself, and then you can send the Toy Vendor and another card to your hand. Like let's say you just opened these 2. You go Souls, send 2, and even if your opponent stops that, you still get a search for a Fluffle, which is why it is so crazy in this deck. I'll just put it all together. So then going into the other spells that just work very well in this deck, I'm playing 2 Royal Penguin's Garden. And the reason Royal Penguin's Garden is so crazy, it's because it searches for any penguin. And notably, we have a Fluffle penguin, which is like the best Fluffle monster in the deck. And then it is also a discard outlet. So if you open like this and a Toy Vendor, you can go search it and then lower the level by 1, discard a Toy Vendor, and then activate Toy Vendor to search. It's really good. Then for other spells, I'm playing 1 Called By because we need a way to stop hand traps, I guess. And it's just really sacky one of. Then triple Foolish Burial Goods because it sends Toy Vendor. So this card is any search in your deck. You get to find any Fluffle off of it. And then the final card in the deck is 1 Artifact Scythe because of how Crew Whale works with edge-imp Scythe. So for the extra deck, we are playing 2 Crew Whale. Crew Whale says on Fusion Summon, you can pop 1 card on both players' fields. So if you make it on your opponent's turn with your Scythe set, then you can pop 1 card on your field, being Scythe, pop 1 card on their field, and then Scythe lock them. But you do have to be careful for cards like Gamma. If they do know that that's exactly what you're doing, you kind of have to wait for them to commit 2 cards. It also has the quick effect where it can target a Frightfur Fusion, send a Frightfur card from your deck Arc to the graveyard, and if you do, boost that card by half its original attack. So you can send the repair, which then is a free special. So you make one going first and then one on your opponent's turn. Playing one Kraken because Crew Whale plus Kraken is an OTK. Because you can go Crew Whale target Kraken, boost it up to 33. Kraken can attack twice, so that's 66, and then Crew Whale is 26. Kraken can also target one monster on your opponent's field, send it to the grave, and if you do, it can't attack directly this turn. And it can also switch itself to defense at the end of the battle phase. Frightfur Tiger is the best Frightfur fusion. Best card to use with Frightfur fusion because you can banish as many monsters as you want from your grave, including you can banish as many Fluffals as you want, with an edge-imp sabers, and however many you banished, that's how many cards you get to pop on the field. So you can target up to like 10 cards and just destroy them. So that's it for the fusions. Onto the Xyz, I'm playing a Bahamut and a Toad because Delphin Penguin are both level 4 waters, and that's the best draw in the deck. And then Abyss Dweller, you make it a good amount just because you have so much extension in the deck. Then onto the other Link 2s, I'm playing a Dark because the Frightfurs are darks and so is Souls. Playing a Dagda to set the Scythe. Playing a Cross Sheep because with a fusion, if you fuse or a special summon to a zone while it points to a fusion, you can reborn a monster from your grave. So linking off your Penguin for it, and then reborning Penguin means that you can trigger Penguin another time. I'm playing an IP and Unicorn because you can go pop on card on both players' fields, summon out the Scythe, and then immediately link it off for a Unicorn. Or if you haven't used it, you can also link it off for an Appo. Appo will most likely be on your board going first, though. And then I'm also playing two finishers. I'm playing one Burl Sword and one Access Code, because if you can put enough monsters on field, Burl Sword just ends the game. Now onto the side deck. I'm playing an extra copy of edge-imp Scythe, just for going second, because you do want it in your hand going second. You don't really want it as much in your hand going first, because it doesn't do much on its own. Just an extra little side effect on this card. Right at the bottom of the text, it says if a Frightfur fusion you control would be destroyed by a battle or card effect, you can banish it from your grave instead of that card being destroyed, meaning that you can use it going first, make the Crew Whale, activate Crew Whale effect, pop one card on your opponent's field, and banish Scythe instead of your Crew Whale being destroyed. After that, I'm playing a Driver, best card in the deck, and then Triple Gamma. It's just really good for going second, and also if you feel like you're going to get trolled, searches 20 times. You can use it for both. And then I am playing 2 Crow to stop the Scythe. That's what these two are both meant for. And then I'm playing Triple Dark Ruler to go second so that you don't get Scythe locked. Basically, the thing this deck worries about the most is getting Scythe locked. I'm playing Double Twin, Double Cosmic, because back row is also a little bit of a problem, and then one Reboot because the trap matchup can get pretty bad. And that's it for the deck profile.